is there anything else to triathlon other than running, swimming and cycling? Well, actually, yes, there are several more factors to consider. So I've just finished after a hard run session out on the track and I'm heading indoors to do some much needed flexibility exercises. To improve your movement and enjoy feeling free and unrestricted when you're training and racing, your body will need some extra care. So in order to increase your flexibility and your range of movement, you need to do some stretches. Now today we're up at the University of Bath, but the great thing about these exercises, you can do them absolutely anywhere. So we're going to run through some key stretches to help increase your flexibility and therefore hopefully reduce your risk of injury. But before we start, there's a few key points to remember. So if you're new to stretching, make sure you take it gently at the start. Make sure you relax into each stretch. You're in a warm environment so your muscles are more relaxed. And finally, point 4, hold for each stretch for about 30 seconds. We'll begin with upper body range of movement, starting with the pec stretch. So find yourself a space on the wall, face it, placing your hand and forearm up against the wall, and then gradually turn to rotate your body away from that until you feel a stretch across your pecs. Now, the thing is with triathlon, you're spending a lot of time swimming front crawl, also a lot of time in this position on your time trial bike, so your pecs will naturally become tight. This exercise is great to help keep your shoulders in a much better position. Once you've held this for 30 seconds on one side, make sure you swap and do it for another 30 on the other side. Now we're going to look at stretching your lats and tricep. So start off by putting your arm up above your head and with your spare hand getting hold of your elbow. Once you've got hold of your elbow, then gently pull it towards your head. Now you should start to feel a stretch down the outside of your arm and down the side of your torso. This stretch is especially important for swimming as it really helps you get into that great streamlined position. Having good spinal mobility is really important, and this exercise is great for thoracic extension. So start by lying on your back on top of your foam roller and then roll all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom until you find a really tight spot. And once you're there, just hover over that area for a moment until you feel it start to loosen. The lower body is more affected from running and cycling, and good range of movement around your hips is essential, especially for getting into an efficient aero position, and it's an area that's quite often neglected, something that I'm very guilty of myself. There are many different versions of a glute stretch, but this is one of the easiest to do. So lying down on your back, if you're going to stretch your left glute, you want to have your right knee bent, put your left ankle over the top of your right knee, using both hands, grip behind your right knee, gently pulling that towards you until you feel the stretch in your glute. Tight glutes can lead to a tight IT band, and that's a problem that's very common in triathletes. Once you've held that for 30 seconds, swap to the other side and then repeat. Hip flexors are prone to being tight in cyclists, so therefore it affects triathletes as well. Now, in order to focus on your hip flexors, to isolate them, it's best to start in a kneeling position. From here, take a forward lunge with one foot, making sure your hips are in a nice neutral position. And from here, push your hips forwards until you feel a stretch right the way through here. Now, if you're still not feeling the stretch, you can always aid it by just stretching your arm into the air to elongate this area. to stretch your quads, start off by finding an area with something to hold on to for balance. So I'm using the wall. I'm going to start by stretching my left leg. So with your left hand, get hold of your left toes. Now, this is the important part, to make sure that your hips remain parallel. So you should only feel the stretch down the front of your leg. A common mistake you often see people doing is rotating their hips and getting their quads all the way back there, but that's not actually stretching the right area. So make sure keeping facing forwards. Now, your quads quite often will get tight, and it's a real cause of anterior knee pain, but luckily it's very quickly relieved by a bit of stretching. Hamstrings are commonly tight in runners, and if you don't look after them, niggles can lead on to injuries, so it's really important that we stretch. Now, one of the starting positions can just be sitting down, having one leg bent and the leg that you want to stretch out in front of you. And from this position, just reach towards your foot. Now, if you're flexible enough, you might be able to get hold of your foot. If not, just go for your ankle. One thing to bear in mind though, try not to pull your toes towards you, because that'll add in a calf stretch and won't isolate your hamstring. Another option is just finding an object that's off the ground. Place your heel on it, and then just like before, fold your body towards your ankle. Tight calves can be painful and can also lead to tears and strains. Now, your Achilles tendon actually attaches into your calf muscles, so if they're tight, that can add extra strain onto your Achilles. Now, the easiest way to stretch your calves is find a step or a bench like this. Once you're stood securely, the leg you're going to stretch, just move onto the ball of that foot, and then just gently drop your heel towards the ground. Now, in this position, you should feel the stretch in the top of your calf, in your gastrocnemius. Now, once you've held this for 30 seconds, bend your knee slightly, and you should feel the stretch move further down to the lower part of your calf, known as the soleus. When you're training hard for swimming, cycling and running, it can put a lot of strain on your body, so it's important that you look after it. Now, some areas are going to need more attention than others, but these stretches are at least a great starting point. Now, to subscribe to GTN, just click on the globe, and if you want to watch a video on 9 essential triathlon skills, click down here, and to watch a video on treadmill versus outdoor running, click here.